If you've been a listener for a while now, you may have heard the episode that I brought to you on June 23rd of last year. On that episode, I talked about how South Carolina was in the planning stages of using the firing squad as a method of carrying out the death penalty since the drugs for lethal injection aren't available. Well, today I have an update to that story. Here in South Carolina, it was announced last week that a man who had been given the death penalty for a homicide back in 1999 has until April 15th of this year to decide whether he wants the electric chair or the firing squad as the means used to carry out his execution. Now, before I go any further, I just want to say that this is not a debate for or against the death penalty. I'm just sharing what I've learned, and as I believe I mentioned back in June, I do have mixed feelings on the death penalty. Now, on April 7th, the South Carolina Department of Corrections announced that it had received an order of execution for Richard Moore, who has been on death row since being convicted in 2001. Now, Moore was found guilty of shooting and killing James Mahoney, who was the clerk at Nicky's, which was or is a store on Highway 221 in Spartanburg. And Moore used up the last of his federal appeals in 2020, and just last week, the state Supreme Court denied another appeal. Now, the last execution to take place in South Carolina was back in 2011, so it's been like 11 years. And that's when Jeffrey Motts was put to death for strangling a cellmate while he was already serving a life sentence for another murder. The last execution by electrocution in South Carolina was in 2008, and that inmate was James Earl Reed, and he was sentenced to death in the homicide of his ex-girlfriend's parents back in 1994. Now, the date of execution for Moore has been scheduled for April 29th, so just a couple of weeks from now. And as you can imagine, people are very clear with their opinions on social media about this particular case. I've read comments saying that he's been on death row for so long, why execute him now? And others are sticking with the belief that he must serve his punishment. And then there's yet others saying that we as taxpayers shouldn't have to be paying for criminals' upkeep. Now, I'm not agreeing, nor am I disagreeing with any of these opinions. I'm just sharing with y'all what I've read. Now, as soon as a decision is made, I'll be back to update you all with that. But that's all for today. Don't forget, Throwback Thursday will be coming your way in the morning. Y'all have a good day. Okay, y'all, I've never had to update an episode before it was live, but here we are. Right after I recorded today's episode, news was announced that an attorney for Richard Moore filed a motion to review the firing squad and its legalities. The South Carolina Supreme Court has to review that motion, and a hearing has been scheduled for tomorrow at 11 a.m. Now, this hearing could go one of a couple of ways. Now, the court could decide that the execution will go on, and Moore will have to make his decision on what method of execution will be used by Friday of this week. Or it's possible that, they could say they need more time, and they would have to delay the execution so that they can review it further. Now, also over the weekend, the Roman Catholic Diocese of Charleston, they weighed in on this execution, stating that it firmly opposes the Supreme Court's decision and the use of the death penalty in South Carolina. It went on to say in its statement that Moore having to choose the method of its execution is modern-day barbarism. They're also asking the state to commute Moore's death sentence. Now, that's all I've got, but I didn't want to leave y'all hanging when all this has already been announced. But when there's an update after tomorrow's hearing, I'll be back with an update on my end. But until then, y'all have a great day.